International Executive Board made a commitment to fight to dismantle racism at the structural level. We committed to establishing our first ever racial justice task force.
I think it's gone on way too long that we need to stand up, and I think if we truly do this and we eradicate structural racism, it will help every race. But if we don't do this now, other people are going to suffer because we don't focus on anti-racism on blacks.
There's racism of all types in this country and around the world, but it's much more evident in the African American community and the things that happen in the African American community.
I grew up in Miami, Florida. Everything around me was segregated. Everything that I saw around me said black is inferior and white or anything not black is better.
We have to be able to set the context for people. We have to be able to talk about slavery and the effects of slavery and the effects of Jim Crow. We have to be able to talk about how black folk to this day aren't reflected as full human beings in the Constitution of this country.
If we're talking about structural racism, it's built on slavery, and if we don't, and slavery is built on black folks, and so if you don't deal with that, then nothing else matters.
If you don't get at the root, which is really dealing with systemic racism, really dealing with the roots of slavery and everything that has followed, that you can't really get to economic justice.
And I think you look at who our members are and who our constituents are. It is impossible to talk about building economic equality. It is impossible to talk about building a better future for anyone if you don't deal with the issue of racial justice.
Black people are almost always singled out for a special kind of treatment. So just imagine all of the efforts to redistribute wealth, and there have been a few in this country, right? Think about the Homestead Act. Think about Social Security and the development of a labor movement. In all of those things, all of the attempts to, in some ways, redistribute wealth downward. And at the very moment that they do so, they exclude black folks.
If you look at the reality of our nation, the majority of black Americans are making less than subsistence salaries. They have less public education, less opportunity to do something different. So the education and the quality of education and the experience and opportunity of education is basically denied to people of color, and specifically young black children.
Being a white woman, I don't know what it's like to have racism against me every single day. The first day that I really felt something like that was the day the young man was killed in Ferguson. And I was watching the national news, and my son's face come up on the television, and right next to him was a guy holding an AK-47. And he was a police officer. And the only thought that came to my mind is, my God, my son could be killed by a police officer. And that thought had never in my entire life gone through my mind. From that day forward, I thought, oh my goodness, my friends are feeling that with their sons every single day.
Black Lives Matter, to me, means that my life matters. And that I am declaring that my life as a black person in this country matters. The events over the last several years since Trayvon Martin was killed, or Sandra Bland.
Drag you out of here. So you're threatening to drag me out of my own car? Get out of the car! And then I will light you up. Get out! Wow.
Police say Dylan Roof walked into that Charleston church with a premeditated plan to kill.
The list goes on and on and on. Enough is enough.
It's shocking that not more people and more unions like ours is not saying, wait, what role do we play to stop this? What role do we play not to continue to be a silent partner in a society that does this?
Together, we have to make sure that we change the systems so we can win economic and racial justice for all.
It means that we have to look at how race impacts all of the work that we do and how we do it.
We want to make sure that we dismantle structural racism, that we are a part of changing society in a meaningful way, but it starts within our union.
I think SEIU will look and feel like an anti-racist organization when we commit to doing the work every single day. This is a very long journey. We cannot say that we're going to look up a year from now or 2 years from now or 10 years from now even, I think, and say everything is perfect.
It would be overwhelmingly powerful for our members to say, the rest of the world may be afraid to have this discussion, but we're family and we're not, and we're here to do it.
It's an amazing moment that we're living in. My hope is that we can find both the imagination and the will to live up to that moment.